Good morning. Now, I want to do a quick clarification on the project Gentleman, on the Bentley. I've seen the first video, the introduction video we did about the project Gentleman and how we're gonna go forward and kind of the explanation. And I realize I may misleading you into believing that I actually don't like it or I'm trying to slug it off because it uses Volkswagen and Audi parts. This is completely not true, and I do it only because I think it's funny, because I think it's interesting, and I was genuinely surprised to see how much of a Volkswagen and Audi parts he uses it. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it. I think I may want to remove the whole engine and the whole subframe at once with the front suspensions, because the whole lot will go into the new car. So maybe instead of getting everything apart, the whole engine apart from the gearbox and all that stuff, I may get everything out at once. But I'll see how it goes. Because for that I will have to put this car on this ramp here, and I would rather not to, because this ramp, as you can see, is very close to my Silvia, which I haven't moved yet, and there's not much space to go through. So, but if it has to be, and it has to be, we'll see. gentlemen, I've just done a quick research on these two ECUs, because like I say, they look to me like normal Volkswagen ECUs. Is a Motronic Bosch, like a VR6 type ECU. They actually classified as the Bentley ECUs. However, they are highly tunable, so you can do all the stuff that you would do to usual Golf VR6, 1.9 TDI, 1.8 turbo, any other engine that is Volkswagen or Audi, all these ECUs. So they completely unlocked. You can remove the mobilizer if you want to, for the simplicity of it. You can remove the AGR, you can remove the cats, you can remove all the stuff, but most importantly, you can tune the engine. Now, in my eyes, what that means is that I can design a turbo system for this engine, highly efficient, because it doesn't take much to make a highly efficient turbo system to one of these engines, because I think due to a very limited space inside the chassis, the turbo system on this engine, I have to say, is absolutely shocking. It's not efficient, and it's just bad. Simple as that. The intake temps are skyly high. I mean, you've seen the air filters, they're actually melting for the temperature, and that is actually very, very bad. So this engine is running 630 or whatever brakes at these conditions. So what happens, we can design a turbo system that is going to be very efficient, less back pressure. Intake temps are going to be like way lower, like proper low, like very, very safe. So you can push this engine for much more power and running actually more efficient, because obviously that's how you get the power, making it more efficient, but safer as well, because the temps are lower. So the engine will run under less stress, producing more power and more torque, and just be happy about it. And where luckily the vehicle, the project vehicle, which is the Project Gentleman, which is not this, remember this is only a donor vehicle, we're only taking parts from this. So the Project Gentleman, the final vehicle, is going to have what it already has, way more space, not way, but much more space than this engine has in this chassis, which leaves me an opportunity to build a really good turbo system. And to be honest, I'm excited. I just want to start doing that. So I'm hurry up stripping this down. As you've seen, I really have to take it slow and make sure everything, I mark everything, I put the labels on everything, because the engine, and probably someone will gonna build it for me, all the electrics. I don't want to waste time with that, because I'm not really as good as people who specialize in the wirings and engine rooms. So this is very refined project, and I want the best for every single compartment for it. So electrics, I prefer someone who's really specialized in that is gonna do it for me, and I think my brother is gonna do it for me if he comes over, if he wants to do it. But yeah, this is extremely good news. I was on the impression these are some Bentley difficult ECUs, and turns out to be very simple, very easy, and highly tunable. It honestly brought a smile on my face this morning, and I'm already excited for this project. Because again, I accepted this project just because it makes me excited, just because I like it. And day by day, as I'm stripping this car down, I'm finding more good and good stuff. I'm finding bad stuff about the car, the way they build it and all the stuff, but in my eyes, what I can do with this stuff every day opens even bigger possibilities, and it's getting better and better. It's changing slightly. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use this kind of suspensions in the Project Gentleman, or something I'm gonna design, probably, because I don't think these will suit the car, but we have to wait and see, because I have to remove everything. I got a new chassis, new body coming in, and I'm gonna have to take some measurements, have to design some of the stuff, typical engineering stuff, and then we decide from there what the best option is gonna be, because this engine is gonna produce way more power than it is in this form. We need something that will handle the power, and the other vehicle is not gonna be lightweight, it's gonna be pretty heavy. So the transmission and all the drivetrain is gonna be quite under stress, so I have to make sure it's everything is up to the job. I'm not worried about the gearbox. I think the gearbox is strong enough. However, I have to do my research on them because I'm not really sure what I'm talking about. But I think we're gonna leave it. But all the rest, I don't know. We'll see. It's too soon to say that. So yeah, great news. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be beautiful. Just wait and see. You say 8, yeah?
I reckon 8-ish.
No, is it?
It can be deceiving because it's
6?
the shape and stuff. You reckon it's light as 6?
I think it's lighter than 8, but maybe wrong because it's shape. It's like you say,
Yeah,
deceiving.
shape makes it difficult.
However, it's very light for what?
It's ridiculous. How it is.
One. Oh,
9.5.
9.5.
9.6. That is light as hell for a brake disc of that size.
So-
That's insane.
So these are big brakes. It's a big brakes kit.
Yeah.
365, I think, I believe. Whatever it was.
How big are they then?
I don't know.
You need to measure because that is.
They look tiny.
Yeah. They must
This
be.
is race discs. These are Bentley discs.
They got to be like 395 at least. Then I'd say they're at least. Yeah.
Huge. Let's get a measurement. Let's get a tape. 420 mil. Exactly. 16.5-inch rotors.
I'll do a little
So-
bit of this in a minute.
What we want to show you, huge discs, or 420 were they? 420, ready for this? How huge the caliber is, bigger than my head. And the Corsa brakes,
Yeah.
the pads.
Well, look at the pads. They're smaller
Yeah.
than the pads on your one.
Because mine is what, 6 pistons, 1, 2,
8
3,
pot.
4, 8 pot. Mine is 8 pot, this is 4 pot, but
Small.
so all of this section, all of this is just, I don't know what for.
For show.
Show.
It's because it looks cool. In reality,
because-
they could have had a caliper that big.
Yeah. So,
All for show. Look at my Bentley with its
although
big
this
brakes.
is Alcon, and we were quite excited because it's quality stuff, it's heavy as fuck.
I can't
This is.
believe it's fake.
Where's your scale?
Yeah, yeah.
Try it from the pipe. Definitely, because I'm really curious to see how much this weighs.
I would say 10-ish. Feels like the same as this.
Are they?
Yeah, go on. More. 12.
12 kilograms. So, yeah, that's a bit disappointing.
Yeah. Very.
Oh, fuck. Alright, so we got the Bentley apart. Engine is out, the gearbox is out, the whole front section is out. And I think we're gonna have a look at what we're dealing with, because I think it's quite shocking. In my opinion, this is, how can I call it? I think this is a beautiful beast that is suffering, and we have to unleash it. You're gonna be quite surprised now. Have a look. Now check these turbos. I mean, it's a K, I think, say something, a K16, whatever. Look how tiny this thing is.
Holy shit.
Yeah, holy shit. So you got 6 cylinders on this side, tiny exhaust manifold. I mean, fucking tiny, and even tiny an exhaust has on the turbo. That's restrictive as fuck. That's small. And like you say, you got the EGT on the exhaust manifold. Usually it's on this on the exhaust system because they knew it.
I'm trying to work out how this is working now.
The wastegate is here.
Oh,
the
is that?
part
Oh,
of the
yeah,
wastegate
I was
is
going
here.
to say.
Yeah,
that.
you can see it on this side. Come over.
I was going to say, how the hell is that working?
Yeah, you see the gate here.
Oh, right.
You see, it closes the gate here.
Yeah.
It's kind of alright because it's
Yeah,
straight
it's
there,
basically a thing to bypass.
yeah, I kind of like the design, but
Well, you can tell how hot it is. Look, that is blue.
yeah, let me turn it around.
That is bright blue.
Yeah. It's hot as fuck. Overheated everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is shocking.
That is.
Look at the exhaust manifold, how tiny it is. That's like really, really bad style. Like
I would love
log
to.
stuff.
It's as log as you can possibly get, isn't it?
It's like
Wow.
straight tube, all the
Yeah.
ports in, 6 ports in, and in that tiny thing is shocking.
Yeah.
How restrictive this engine is.
I would say incredibly.
Look,
Like,
the glue, it's cooking itself
yeah.
up. Everything is
Melting
melting
the-
the
yeah,
gaskets,
yeah.
is melting everything.
But this is a low mile car.
This is low mileage, exactly. So this is really pushing at the extremes of this engine. And like Steve pointed yesterday, usually you have EGT sensors, which is exhaust gas temperatures sensors, before, after they catalytic the converter, and usually they use them for emissions and stuff like this. But obviously in this case they put them inside the exhaust manifolds exactly because they knew there is a high risk of danger of cooking this engine up. So obviously if it's getting too hot, it will attacks the ignition and pulls obviously the power down. Oh, because we actually made the decision yesterday, customers here was he will make a decision to, in the new car, in the project we're gonna make a rear wheel drive.
Still this awesome transmission.
Yeah, same transmission.
But no front drive.
No front drive, and we're gonna build, I think we're gonna build one of the most beautiful turbo systems I ever built. So we're gonna free this beast.
You told him beautiful and amazing, and he was like, "Yeah, I want it really, really, really pretty."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna look cool.
It's gonna be
Post ladies coming.
you know. Now, as a transmission, this is a nice thing here because I was convinced that the front diff is actually inside the gearbox, as Audi used to do. Turns out it's not. This is like a rear-wheel drive gearbox with the transfer case on the back. Obviously it's built in, it's not added, so it kind of is the four-wheel drive gearbox, but the setup is like on the 4x4s. Let me explain, let me show you one of them if I can, if you can see it. Let me turn the light on. I have a Hilux gearbox that you see. The gearbox goes there and finishes with the transfer case, you know that thing over there. This one here is a Jeep one, so obviously it's on the opposite side, but again, gearbox and a transfer case attached to it, and the front prop shaft goes forward. Now, obviously it doesn't have the same kind of transfer case because it doesn't have any gear reductions on other stuff. However, you can see the input shaft, the output shaft is kind of here, and it doesn't go straight to the flange, so it goes through straight to the transfer case. This is the rear output shaft. It's not straight from the gearbox, it's from the transfer. And then you have the gears, obviously dropping down. Inside that tube there is a prop shaft that goes up the front into, let me turn the light on again, into this differential. And the differential is separated from the bell housing, which is nice. However, it still goes through the bell housing because obviously you have to drive the opposite drive shaft. We're not gonna have a forward drive, we're gonna have a rear wheel drive. So I'm gonna have to modify the transfer case and remove the drive to the front, remove the front differential and all that stuff. So it's gonna be quite interesting stuff to take this gearbox apart. The reason why I can't, we don't want to keep a forward drive is because, as you can see, the front drive shafts are actually coming out of the bell housing or behind the engine, and we really don't want the engine in front of the front axle. It will have to be actually behind the front axle, roughly. Now, the second half of the project, Gentleman, is gonna come down tomorrow night or maybe Wednesday. I don't know, today or tomorrow or in today's time. So you're gonna actually find out very soon. You're gonna be very upset, but I promise it's gonna be cool as. Not sure if you can see, but there's one bolt which is down there. You just barely see it. It's a bolt from the manifold. You can't get access to it from nowhere. You can't get this heat shield off because obviously the bolts are hiding behind. Well, maybe. Well, no, not really, because the wastegate, I can't even see it, but the wastegate lever is actually in between, so even if I manage to remove it, I won't be able to remove the bolts, won't be able to remove the heat shield. So there's that one bolt over there, which obviously I can't remove the downpipe because there's no access to it, absolutely none, on none of the sides. It will have to be away from the gearbox to be able to get through any tools into it. And then obviously that bolt there, which prevents me from removing the whole exhaust manifold, which would be great because I can just take the whole load and then assemble it on the floor. But I can't because I don't know, let me see if you can see it. There is hold on, it's running yet. There is one nut, maybe this angle, because you got 1, 2, and the third fucker is right there. You can barely see it, and honestly you can't get there with the socket, you can't get there with the spanner. This is shocking. Everything is so tight. I mean, it's unbelievably tight. So I'm gonna fight with it again a little bit more. Obviously I have to win, I have to take it apart, but we'll see which is the correct way to remove it, because it looks like you need some special tools to get to the normal nut. But we'll see. Stay with me. I'm gonna keep pushing this. Jesus Christ, one bolt. We got this fucker out finally. This was unbelievable. I have never spent I don't remember any time of my life that I spent so long to remove one nut. I mean, honestly, it was ridiculous. It's, I'll show you which one is. It's the one that stays behind there, you see? This one here. So your stud is long there. There was no way to put a spanner between this stud and that nut over there. It was absolutely a nightmare. No space whatsoever. You can see there's no way to get from this side or that way. I mean, I don't know, they might have some special tools. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I mean, if any of you guys work at Bentley, Volkswagen or Audi, whatever, and put these turbo systems on and the engine assembly, just please let me know how you put it on. If there is a better way to remove it than I did. But it was a nightmare. It's just long time, and I pinched my finger as well. I'm not gonna cry about it, but you know, have to add to the bill. So yeah, we got a turbo system off. We're a turbo system. Look at this. You can't even call it exhaust manifold. This is the most basic log style log manifold I ever seen. It's the worst one I ever seen. I've never seen anything like as bad as this. I'm not kidding you. I'm not trying to make this bigger than it is, sound more dramatic than this. This is horrible. This is a piece of shit. I'm sorry to say it this way, but it is what it is. However, I want to show you something. You see this weird exhaust flange they made? See this pulse here? So what the fuck is that? Well, turns out, because obviously you know how the VR6 engine works, right? Because this one bank is actually one VR6 engine. There's two of them, obviously one here, one there on a common crank. So you have 6 cylinders here, and if you see on the top, they couldn't fit. So you have one cylinder there, one here, one there, one here, one there, and one here. You can see the spark plugs goes, on the angle, this one goes down there, which does this engine, this cylinder here. Then that one is going to that side, so is this cylinder there. So if you can see the valves. Can you see? Let me just check. You can see the valves over there. This is like a close to this side cylinder, but that one over there, you see how far away it is, because it is actually on the other side of the head, which is there. So that's why VR6 engine, you see they pretty wide. One cylinder is here, one cylinder is there. They like kind of alternate. So again, one port, this is far away port, this is close by port, far away port, close by, far away, close by. Okay, and if you see these ports here, they match. Same with the gaskets. You can see the gaskets here. One port, second port, third port, and they kind of you can tell by the exhaust gases going through. They connected to these holes here, and these holes are supposed to be one here, which is not there, and one here. It is there. Same, one here, which is not there, and one here. It is there. And if you check it, I mean, these holes are going through these ports here. You see there is a plug there. They're drilled out, and this long runner here is like a passage, like a air passage. And where it goes to? Well, it goes to this little fucker, which is the EGR valve. So, and on the cold start, you got the air pump. I don't know if you remember when I had the car on the ramp, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Under the chassis there was turned out to be an air pump for the EGR valve. That pump brings fresh air to this valve. That valve opens because it's controlled by, how is it controlled? Oh, there should be like a vacuum here controlling, but it's not. So it must be controlled before. Oh, that's weird. I was convinced they controlled by the vacuum and the other ones. This one is not either. Okay, so I guess the pump does everything, so it pushes the air through there, and obviously you got some, you know, clean air going to the exhaust, and that's how they clean the emissions, Volkswagen. This is kind of, if these ports were slightly bigger, because they're too small, but if they're slightly bigger, because you can tell, they push air from here obviously, and they go into these ports, and you can just tell. Let me just check if you can see it. You tap the camera. Come on, show me what you see, bastard. No, you can't see on this port. But let me just grab something. Let me just grab whatever, screwdriver. There is a, I don't know if you can tell, there, one here and one there. There are 2 holes, and those holes correspond to one here and one there. Same on this, but obviously those 2 holes, they're way far inside. This is the far away cylinder. So the air goes through the air pump, through the EGR valve, through this valve, goes here, in this tube here, the internal passage. One is here, one is there. And with these cylinders, the air goes from there, goes out from this hole, and it goes through 1, 2, and 3 ports for each exhaust port. Sounds familiar? This is how you design the anti-lag system. This is a bit too small. This won't be big enough. But if this was bigger, I could actually use it to build an anti-lag system and inject hot air straight into the cylinder head inside the exhaust ports. It will be very good. But shame they're too small. I'm probably gonna have to blank it. When we're gonna design the exhaust flange, I guess you can just buy it, like VR6 exhaust flanges to build exhaust manifold, but when I blank it off, we don't need it. Plus again, we don't really need an anti-lag system on the 12-cylinder engine, you know. This thing is torquey as it is. It's like very responsive and all that stuff. Even with the bigger turbos, this is gonna be mega responsive, so we don't need anti-lag. But just in case you were thinking about it, yeah, it could be cool to do it. In this build, I probably say the Volkswagen Audi group, I don't know, probably 100 times already. So I should really stop bragging about this. It's not a Bentley but Volkswagen, because by now you already know. I think when I finish to strip it down tomorrow, today is enough. It's about, it's nearly 9 o'clock. Alright, I'm not sure if you can see me because the light is very poor. I don't want to put the flashlight on because I will not be able to see for half an hour, and I have to drive home in my sport car. Engine's on the back, can you hear it? As a proper sport car. Who can guess what this is? This is gonna be fast soon, but this is another topic. However, I wanted to put one big video about stripping down the Bentley and explaining all the stuff, how it works and how they put it back together, why I call it Volkswagen and Audi, etc, etc. But I've just realized it's gonna be way too long, so I'm gonna have to split it in at least 2 parts, maybe even 3.